evening, Warriors, and welcome in to another edition of the R&R Sports Report, Christmas break edition, on time, on schedule, which is not like us, but the NFL went, you think you're going to have a normal show. No, we were going to completely mess up everything, so we'll get into all of that. I'm Randy Isbell, that's Robert Hagan, and Hagan, we got Christmas this weekend, a Vista tournament, 1 week away. I know which one you're more excited about, but with your family in the other room, which one? Promote the other one a little bit, all right?
I'm just excited that I had tonight's really the last night of anything major until next week because I feel like I've been go. It was late night getting home last night. All last week we had a full slate of everything from wrestling to basketball games, makeup games to an unscheduled game getting scheduled last night. Made a trip to Freeman. We'll talk about that game. And so I'm just excited to have a couple of days off and yes, then finally get into the 9th annual Vista Holiday Tournament. So I'm excited for that.
Absolutely. Lewiston's been very nice to me. They had the one road game last week, and now they are completely off until the Vista tournament. Everything else has been keeping me busy, and there's still shopping to be done. And I'm really missing Walmart being 24 hours because that would have saved my life a lot. But having to go during normal people hours and dealing with people is just not something I want to do. So I keep putting it off, and I guess that's what I get to do tomorrow now.
Just not feeling people-y, huh?
Never. When have I ever felt people-y?
Well, every once in a while, you have to get there.
I just love the fact that we are back to normal for 1 week and 1 week only, it seems like, here in December. And then we have to go head to head with the Seahawks game.
Yeah, especially in where the Rams are going to make this interesting here and come back. But, and we're back to one regular time. And then who knows what next week will be. Next week is going to be interesting with Vista, where I haven't seen a work schedule for me yet. I know you're working the 2 morning games, so it might be a 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock or a noon to 2 o'clock show next week. And
we will figure it out. But speaking of the Vista tournament, we have a fun guest today.
We do, and excited. We'll have to get him up in the stands because I really want to do next week from the gymnasium, from the P1FCU Activity Center. I have to make sure we plug that one 100% right. But joining us tonight is the Lewis Clark Regional Business Manager of Avista and an Idaho State referee and official, Mr. Mike Tatko, joining us tonight. How are you? How are you, Mike?
I'm great. Thank you guys so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we've been trying to get you on for a while. You do follow the R&R Sports Report. We appreciate that. And this is our favorite time of year. How is it feeling for you knowing you got a week until the big tournament starts?
Well, we're happy. We're just happy we're having it. We missed last year, and it was a boring time between Christmas and New Year's for me anyway. And I think it was probably for a lot of the people who normally go, for participants. I know Justin Jones and I are really good friends, and I'm friends with Jason Ulrich, the respective boys coaches, Lewiston and Clarkston, and I know they hated to miss it too. So we're happy that it's back on the docket for next week.
Yeah, I was talking with Randy about this and some others with Jamin Stamper from Big Country as we were threw out our brackets and posted them on our websites. You can check those out on the R&R Sports Report, the brackets for the tournament. I think 2019, I worked 22 of the 24 games. So I'm ready to get back in the gymnasium after missing last year.
I remember seeing you there day and night for 3 straight days. So thank you for that. And thanks both of you for what you're about to do next week.
And then we wonder why it got canceled last year because Mike was like, I want to see Robert 22 and 24 games. So we need a year break in between all of that.
I already told Alicia, I know she's going to be on vacation, the SID for LCSC. I told her I was going to put a cot in her office and just hang out there. So be interesting. So we've got Mike Tatko on tonight. And give us a little background of who Mike Tatko is. I mean, we know that you are the manager of Vista and that, but you grew up on the prairie.
I did. I grew up in Craigmont and Highland High School. Craigmont, Rubens, and Winchester are a consolidated district, and we call ourselves Highland, have since 1963. And that's where I went to school. I went to the University of Idaho. I was a journalism major. I had a couple stints at a couple papers, including the Lewiston Tribune. I worked at the college for a short time in sports information. I had a pretty lengthy career at Regents Blue Shield of Idaho as a public relations specialist. And I'm in business and public affairs for Avista. I'm about ready to have my 11th anniversary.
It's just crazy. That was the next question: is how long you've been at Avista. I know it's been a long stint as their regional manager.
Yeah, it's a great company. It's a good fit. My service territory are 5 counties: Asotin County in Washington, Nez Perce County in Idaho, and then Lewis, Idaho, and Clearwater County, basically where I grew up. And so when I go to my counties, I call them my counties. When I go there for work, I'm basically going home, and there's still a lot of people there who I know, who I grew up with, who I really cherish as friends and business partners now. And so it's a great company to work for. We've been in business 132 years. We were formerly Washington Water Power for the older viewers of your show. We changed in 1999. So it's a great company. And then on the side, I'm a sports nut. I've been a football official for 22 years. I do some broadcasting like you guys. And so just MC some events. So I just like to be involved in sports. I was the guy who was horrible at sports. And so I needed to stay involved. And so I became involved any way I could, because I couldn't make a basket and I couldn't catch a football and I couldn't hit a baseball. So this is who I am.
It sounds a little like us. I hope you watched the match between Kai Fong and Randy. That was quite interesting there.
I hit the ball a couple times. Thanks. Appreciate it.
You did. And I hit you a couple of times with that ball too, if I remember right. So, Mike, since you joined Avista, that is about the time that you started up the Avista tournament. Let's talk a little history of the tournament. How did it come about?
Well, in 2012, Kevin Driscoll became the athletic director at Lewiston High School. And Kevin and I went to high school. Well, we went to the same high school. I'm quite a bit older than Kevin, but we both went to Highland. So he's a Highland Husky. And I've known Shannon Wilson forever. He was the AD at Clarkston. And they just called me up one day and asked me to go to lunch. And I had absolutely no idea what they wanted. And they were on the same page. And Justin Jones was coaching. And Corey Williams, who is now the AD, was the boys coach at Lewiston. And they said, hey, we want to do this tournament. And we want to have 4 teams. And we're looking for a sponsor. And we know you sponsor the Avista NAI World Series and have since the year 2000 when it came back. Would you be interested in throwing some money at this and being the sponsor? And we're going to have it in the activity center. And I was like, where do I sign? I mean, I was so enthused, like so many of us. There's that week between Christmas and New Year's. You can only watch so many bowl games. And I think from the coaching standpoint, and obviously you guys have probably talked to Justin and Jason and Debbie Sabota and Carly Wilson and a whole lot of other coaches about that, what used to be a dead week. It's great to get them active and playing actual games instead of practicing. And it's great for fans to come and watch basketball. And so I was all in. And so we did a 4-team tournament for 5 years. And one thing that all 3 of us agreed on from the beginning is we wanted it to be a bracketed tournament. We wanted it a tournament where there's a winner. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's just kind of the competitiveness in all of us. It's a lot of tournaments where you just play round robin or whatever. We wanted it to be a bracketed tournament, and we've held to that. And, Lewiston and Clarkston are always on the opposite side of the bracket, but they could play in the championship, and they have. And they could also play in the consolation game at 9 a.m. on the final day, and they have. And so kudos to the coaches from Lewiston and Clarkston, for both boys and girls, who have said, we will play in a bracketed tournament. And if we have to play the school from across the river, even though it's not as big as the Golden Throne, we'll play. And they have. And I really admire those 4 coaches, or whoever the coaches are at the time. They've always been so amenable to what we want to do as far as a bracket and not avoid anybody. and not say, well, we're going to play them in January at the Golden Throne, and so why would we play them now? And they play. And so I just love that about the coaches and the administrators from these two schools, that they're all in on this thing, and so am I.
Yeah, it's nice to bring up Lewiston and Clarkston, and obviously that's kind of what the tournament kind of gets surrounded around, is between those two. And obviously Robert and I have a lot of ties with both of those schools. But the one school I want to bring up that has kind of become a staple of this tournament is Lapwai.
Yeah, it's really
every single year Lapwai is the school that makes the most noise during the tournament. Yeah. They're the most fun to watch every single year.
Yeah, and Randy, you bring up a great point. And here's how that came about. So we had a 4-team tournament for 5 years, and it was usually Lewiston, Clarkston, Colfax, and Walla Walla. Those were the initial teams. And you guys all, of course, know Debbie Sabota and her husband Pat, and then Pat's brother Bobby. They both played at LC. Well, Bobby, their father is Bob Sabota, the Bob Sabota Sr., who is a legendary official and coach and worked for the State Board of Education. And everyone knows Bob Sabota. And he was watching at the Avista tournament, I'm assuming his grandchildren from Pat or Debbie or Bob or somebody. And he pulled me aside and he said, Mike, he said, this is a great thing that you got going. He goes, and if you want to make it better, he goes, you should invite Lapwai. And I said, just tell me who to call. And when we went to 8 teams, they were the first team we called, and they agreed wholeheartedly. And that kind of goes back to what we talked about a bit ago with Lewiston and Clarkston. Lapwai is good, and they're the lowest division, second to the lowest division in Idaho, and Lewiston's the highest, and they'll play. And it makes everybody better, and it's great for the crowd. I don't know if you guys were there the night they played Ferris in the championship game, and they almost beat them. And Ferris was the largest classification in Washington, and they were not too happy that it was a 2-point game, and the entire gym was rooting for Lapwai, as they should. And it was a great atmosphere. And so, Randy, you bring up a great point. They were the first person we called when we expanded that tournament, and they're in. They have said, as long as we have it, we're in.
Yeah, it's a great turnout by them. As Zach was the first one that messaged me, emailed me, wanting to know brackets. Where do we stand? Where can I get things set up? Because he's ready to go already. And shout out to Zach Eastman and the boys as they travel up tonight. They're taking on North Central, another bigger school tonight, up in Spokane. I think they get ready to tip off here at 7:00. But yeah, adding that whole other dynamic in there. And usually Lapwai is in the middle game. So we fill that gymnasium, we fill the activity center, and probably going to be the same again this year.
Yeah, they're going to play at 3 and 4:30 right now. I think. Well, thank you for doing that. And you actually, Robert, thank you for dressing up our bracket. We sent the bracket to Robert for those of you watching, and he dressed it up. We probably had the word winner spelled wrong or something. Anyway, he fixed it. And so thank you for that. I think Lapwai just went up and beat Coeur d'Alene the other day, or played Coeur d'Alene anyway. And so they're upgrading. The only other thing that I'll say is that when I sat down with those guys to plan the tournament, and when we expanded, I said, it's the Avista tournament. We want people who know what Avista is. I mean, anytime you do a sponsorship, it's nice to have, a little bit of stuff coming back to you. And Shannon and Corey have done a really great job of finding people who are in our service territory. And so it's not just Lewiston and Clarkston and then 6 teams from Boise or 6 teams from Seattle. I mean, we have Moscow, we have Lapwai, we have Grangeville, we have Post Falls, we have Lapwai, I think I said, so we have teams that when people come in the gym and see our banner, they know who we are. It's because we're their electricity company and gas. So I really applaud Corey and Shannon for continuing to really effort to get teams that are in our service territory. And, we obviously go outside of our service territory once in a while to get a good team. And we were talking about that earlier, Robert, and you're probably going to talk about them, but really they do a great job on filling the field.
Yeah, and that was the next thing as we talk about the wide variety. The 2 teams that kind of shocked me are not in this year. That is Walla Walla, just probably a little bit, I'm assuming, because of COVID situations. So Walla Walla is not making the trip down this year. But like you said, We're going to see girls. The Clarkson girls are going to be taking on Post Falls to start their side of the bracket.
Right.
The Bantam boys are going to be taking on Annie Wright, a team from Tacoma, who is unbelievable numbers they're putting up in the 1A over in Nisqually.
Yeah, the Walla Walla situation. I was actually in Walla Walla over the weekend. My sister coaches basketball over at the college, and I was over there with her for her games. And I talked to their radio announcer, and I said, so who are you playing non-league because you're not coming to Lewiston? And he said, we're playing Ferris, we're playing Central Valley, we're playing Moses Lake, we're playing Pendleton. So it's not like they ditched us to play crappy people. I mean, they're playing up. I thought they were a good fit for our tournament. They brought a lot of people. They had success. I know I sent you the history, and they had success at our tournament, both boys and girls. But they just decided to play one game at a time instead of in a 3-team or a 3-day tournament, and so that's fine. Good for them. And then the other thing that's happened that's really kind of funny is Wenatchee and Eastmont, which is in East Wenatchee. They both came in the past, and they basically copied our model, which I guess they say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. They came to our tournament. They watched how we did it. They copied our bracket, and now they're having their own tournament. And so they're not in either. And so I guess that's okay because they copied exactly what we're doing, and they're doing it themselves.
Yeah, very familiar with Eastmont. That's my niece and nephew's alma mater. So I was always looking forward to them when they came to town, make a good relationship with the coach there. What's your favorite part about the tournament?
I think seeing people that you maybe don't see. I mean, I go to quite a few high school basketball games just because I love it. But you see, Post Falls, they have a great program. Mark Allert is a great coach, girls coach up there. They win a lot. I only get to see them at that tournament. And when they come down to play Lewiston, if I happen to be able to go, and then welcoming new teams, getting to meet the people from Annie Wright and thanks to Brooke Hens at LC, for the facility. People walk into that gym with big eyes. Soda Springs is a 2A school. So they're the size of Grangeville. They're down in the southeastern corner of our state. They're going to come all the way up, and they're going to walk into that facility, and they're going to have wide eyes. And seeing the looks on high school kids' faces and talking to parents and just kind of asking them about their experience, that's what I really like. I see a lot. You guys are working all the time. I sit up in the hospitality room and just look over the balcony there and just watch and visit, and I don't really do anything. And so kudos to you and all the other workers who run the clock and do everything. The officials, who are taking time from their holiday to come work. I have the easiest job of the tournament. I just sit there.
So you do bring up officials, and you do officiating yourself. And I just got to ask, which sport is the one that you would rather be officiating, football or basketball?
Well, I've done football for a long time. I did some junior high basketball last year on a dare, basically because I have friends who do basketball, and they're like, "Why don't you do basketball?" And I'm like, "No," but I did. I think 5 or 6 games, and maybe I did 2 varsity games. Basketball scares me, and I admire the heck out of people who do basketball. You're enclosed in a building. The people are right there. When you blow your whistle in basketball, the whole world stops, and you have to do something. You have to make a call. In football, you run around out there, and you guys both know, and probably have seen me at games. You run around out there. You're a long ways away from the crowd. You can kind of watch the game and decide whether or not that hold was really bad enough to make it worthy of a flag, because as we all know, you can call holding on every single play. Mm-hmm. So you have that judgment. I love football. Football is by far my favorite sport to watch, to officiate. If there was any way we could ever have an Avista football tournament, I'd be the sponsor. But I love the Avista basketball tournament, and I just love that you guys are so engaged in all the work you put in.
Hagen, that's your new mission, is to get whatever that football tournament looks like working.
Wow. How would you make that one look? It'd have to be a 3-week tournament.
I don't know. I don't
just
know.
Just a bunch of Kansas City tiebreakers. Just one giant weird thing. I don't know.
I did that Lewiston Coeur d'Alene Post Falls, Kansas tiebreaker in Moscow that night. And I tell you, it's the funnest hour I've had. It was stressful because every play was the season. But once we kind of settled in and got into it, that was a great night. It was fun, and Lewiston did well.
So were you part of Zane Hobart's officiating crew for Prairie's state title?
So the way it works in Idaho, you cannot do a state championship game of a team in your district. So it's a neutral crew. So when Kendrick played Cary in the Kibbe Dome, a crew from District 1 came down because it was a battle between District 2 and 4. So you have a neutral one. I did have a playoff game with Kendrick earlier in the postseason against Horseshoe Bend at Bengal Field, and it rained all night. I mean, all night. I'll never forget that game. It was wet. It was cold. So the last state tournament championship game I did was last year, and it was at Middleton between Sugar Salem and Homedale, who were two teams not from here. And that's how they do it in Idaho, is they bring neutral crews in for both the semifinals and the finals, just to alleviate, all of us officials, we just don't care who wins. Really, we really don't. No matter what people think, we don't care. But the perception is that we do. And so they don't let teams or officials from your district do semifinals or finals.
So what's been your favorite place to officiate?
Well, a couple years ago on consecutive weekends, I was fortunate enough to do playoff games in Moscow's Kibbe Dome, Pocatello's Mini Dome, Holt Arena, and Boise State Bronco Stadium. And, I grew up watching the University of Idaho. In fact, I went to the very first game ever in the Kibbe Dome in 1975. I was like 10. And so that always has a special place in my heart. But I love going to Pocatello. It's a great trip to hang out with the guys and go. Nice facility. Boise State is a great facility, obviously. It's a huge stadium. You just never really know what you're going to get in November with the weather. And so I'd rather be inside if possible. But, district-wide, Lapwai has a great field. Lewiston has a great field. I was fortunate enough to work at Asotin a couple times this year. They do a great job. Shannon does a great job at Clarkston. So we really have a lot of really nice fields. And I think Lewiston, when they get their new field built at their new high school, I would just imagine, I would not expect anything less than a great facility there.
Yeah, and you also talked a little bit, Will, about doing some announcing. I know you like being out there in the public eye, but you've done a little bit of radio and you've done some stuff for SWX with the World Series. How was it working with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, SWX, which is affiliated with KHQ, they come down, they do every game, and they do a great job. It's a big time, high class. I mean, they do it right. You think, well, it's the NAIA, Vista NAIA World Series, NAIA baseball. What are we going to really get here? But I mean, they have meetings. I mean, when you're going to be involved in that, you are going to be involved in that, and you're going to bring your A game, or you're not going to be involved in it. So they do a great job. They also do a lot of college basketball for Spokane Falls Community College up there, and they do some Eastern stuff. They do a lot of stuff. They've done Moscow High School football and stuff like that. So that's fun. The gig I guess I'm most proud of is that I'm the broadcaster for the live stream for Walla Walla Community College, because my sister's the basketball coach and has been for 22 years. And so I've been doing that for a long time. So it's lots of trips to Walla Walla. And the thing I like about that is parents can't always make a game in college, of their kids, especially a midweek game. And so to be able to broadcast their kids, who are away from home for the first time, they're 18 years old, they're freshmen, they're from all over the Northwest or wherever. I think she even has a kid from Alaska this year. To be able to broadcast those games back to those people's living room is really, I'm honored to be able to be a part of that, and I really enjoy doing that.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna do some quick fire questions, just real quick, and Randy and I'll stagger them back and forth between us, and then we'll get to some word association with some folks here. So I'll start with the first one. If you could host a talk show, who would your first guest be?
Dead or alive? Does he have to be alive?
Nope, whoever.
Al Davis, the former owner of the Raiders.
A Raider
Okay.
fan. I was going to bring up the helmet behind you, but he would be an interesting interview. So I can't be mad about that. All right.
I mean, he might not
household
say
chore-
anything, but I'd like to try.
Which household chore do you dread doing the most?
Dusting.
Yeah, that sounds a never-ending one.
Well, I mean, you
Yeah.
could dust all day, as long as people move around and as long as there's heat going through your vents. There's going to be dust. So, dusting, I would say.
All right. What's your biggest pet peeve?
People who don't know how to write your and there and there and it's and two and two and two. All those, so I told you I was a journalism major and worked for the newspaper for a long time. And you get a lot of that your stuff in today's world of texting and abbreviated messages, and it drives me crazy.
Well, maybe this will be the answer for this one too. But what is one important skill every person should master?
What should every important skill should what?
Should everybody master?
Just the art of communication and looking someone in the eye. We're in a world of people ask each other to the prom by putting up a poster. People turn down jobs or quit jobs or resign or whatever by texting their boss and saying, "Yeah, I can't come in today and I'm just done." That'd be unheard of in our day. And so I think the art of communication, the art of looking someone in the eye and telling them how you feel. And if you're going to resign, then go into their office and tell them you're going to resign and give your 2 weeks and move on.
All right. Well, this one came out, almost 3 months ago, and it was a question that blew up our program. Are you a peanut butter and jelly fan?
No, peanut butter, but not jelly.
So that was going to skew our data because what is the percentage of peanut butter to jelly? So which tells us you're probably a 90% peanut butter fan.
Yeah, I don't like any jelly, and I'll eat peanut butter on bread. I'll eat it on Ritz crackers. I'm not going to put it on pancakes or anything like that, but I'll sit down and watch a football game with a jar of peanut butter and a big one of those rolls of Ritz crackers and then just scoop it and eat it. But jelly jam never was a thing for me.
All right. So other than the Raiders, who's your favorite sports team?
Well, it's weird. I didn't grow up in the Bay Area, but I'm kind of a Bay Area guy. So it's the Raiders, it's the Athletics. It is the Golden State Warriors, and I'm not a front runner. I've liked the Golden State Warriors since the early 70s when I became Raiders and A's. And they were, they won that one championship in 75, and then they were horrible for years until, 6 years ago or whatever when they got good. But hockey, since the Bay Area didn't have a hockey team back in the day, I'm a Boston Bruins fan simply because their colors are the same as my high school colors, and that's the only reason I picked them.
All right. And last one of the questions: who is your favorite official to work with? And I know you work with a lot of different officials.
I looked the other day. I keep a log of that type of stuff, and I've worked with over 100 guys. I'd have to say Corky Fazio, and the reason is because he is my mentor. I was on his crew when I was young, doing this anyway. And Corky would and still does. He takes the young officials who don't have any idea, who think they have an idea, but they don't, like me. And he molds them, and he is firm with them when he needs to be, but he's gentle when he needs to be. And he has taught me so much, and we've developed a lifelong friendship. And he's the guy who came to me after I don't know how many years and said, "Okay, now you're ready for your own crew. I'm kicking you out of the house, basically. You're off my crew. You're now the referee who wears the white hat, and you get your own crew, and good luck. You get to do what I did. Good luck trying to mold some people into being good officials." And he's taught me so much. So we don't work together very much really anymore because we have our own crews. But occasionally we have the ability to work together, especially during the playoffs. And I always look forward to that.
All right, let's get into some word association. Just give us a word or two about these individuals. We'll start out with, I know he's still on the stream listening because he's answering the questions right along with you, but Denny Grubb.
Hall of Famer. Indisposable. You need something, Denny Grubb.
Yeah, that's a good one. How about the Cammy kid, Ken Hobart?
He's an idol of mine, and I remember when because I watched him play. I was in college by then, but I remember when I first kind of became to be able to talk to him like in a business sense. I was afraid because he was the Cammy kid, and his name's on the wall in the Kibbie Dome with a banner. And I consider him a friend and great supporter of youth sports. Not just because his kid's a coach, and Zane, of course, refs, and so does Ken, but just a great supporter of youth sports, always has been.
All right, how about the LHS athletic director, Corey Williams?
Corey works so hard. He put in so much time trying to get this tournament to where A, we can have it, and B, to get the field full. And we would meet at Starbucks and we would look at brackets and we would say, can we call these people? And Corey's like, I'll call them. And sometimes we'd sit there and Corey would call them while we sat there. Are you coming, Soda Springs? And is it okay if we put you at noon or stuff like that? He's a details guy. There's a lot of big picture people in the world and he's a details guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to go on the other side of the river. How about Shannon Wilson, Clarkson athletic director?
I've known Shannon a lot longer than I've known Corey. In fact, Shannon and I go camping together one weekend each year with a bunch of other guys. And so I know Shannon outside of the realm of athletics. And he will do anything for anybody. He'll give you the shirt off his back. He will bend over backwards to make sure you're accommodated. And I mean that when I'm riding a four-wheeler or if I'm sponsoring a tournament. He will do anything for anybody.
How about LCS athletic director, Brooke Hens?
Great friend of mine. I think I was a sports writer when she was playing. That's how far back we go. And, Brooke has overcome so much with so much change in athletics and personal challenges. And she's just done a great job. And, to follow somebody like Gary Piccone, who is also a very good friend of mine, who did a tremendous job. He's a Hall of Famer. Brooke had a lot of big shoes to fill. And the fact that Gary still wanted to help her and give her advice, and Brooke is not afraid to reach out. We have a great partnership with her and Lewis Clark State and the NAIA for our baseball tournament, which we're going to do again this year in May, and I hope you guys can come. So Brooke is a hands-on, get her done woman, and she's a great success and a great tribute to the college.
And I just got to throw it out there. How about Robert Hagan?
I think the first time I met Robert Hagan, he might have been coaching junior high football. Mm-hmm. And I was reffing, and I think it was like Clarkson against Sac or something. And I probably kicked a call, and Robert probably told me about it. And I was like, who's this guy? And somebody said, it's Robert Hagan. I'm like, yeah, he's probably right. I was probably wrong. And so I consider both of you guys my friends. And so I admire what you do because I, have a little bit of a radio in me as well. And I was listening to you before we went on the air about what you all have going on. And for you to take time away from your family, especially this time of year, because I know you have other jobs, is admirable. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, we use it as a break from the family. It's okay.
Yeah. And the toughest one, hardest one of all, sir, Mike Tatko.
Well, I guess I'd like to think that I'm approachable. I'd like to think that I'm fair. To be brutally honest, and I know you guys know Shannon, who is an official. We do not care who wins. It may appear that there's 10 flags on one team and none on the other, and that might be the case, and that's just how it goes. But we don't care who wins, and so I guess the one word I hope people would associate with me is fair, approachable, kind of a nice guy.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you taking time
Mhm.
out of your schedule to talk Avista. And I know I'm so excited for next week because I get to spend 3 days working with you and the rest of the crews. And we get Randy and him there doing and stuff for Lewiston. So I'm excited. And I was so glad you would take some time out tonight to join us.
Well, thank you guys. Again, I appreciate what
Mhm.
you do. You do a great job. I tune in every time I can, and you have great guests, and you guys banter back and forth so well. And I look forward to seeing you next week at Lewis Clark
I
Stadium.
appreciate it. Yeah, we will see you on Tuesday for sure. Bright and early,
Yep.
9 in the morning. I have to be on my best behavior already calling basketball games because Lewiston gets to go up first. So we'll see
That'd be
how
fun.
my brain works at 9 in the morning for that.
All right. Thanks, Mike. That's Mike
Thank you.
Tatko, the Lewis Clark Regional Business Manager for Avista. Thank you very much. And such great insight he has
Yes.
on everything from football to any kind of sport. So I'm glad that he was part of it there tonight.
Let's throw this back up here one last time. Look at the schedule going on. So you have Lewiston early on in the day. The girls will be at 9 a.m. Boys will be at 10:30. And you get the Lewiston JV again at noon. And then you get Lapway right there, as you guys are talking about, mid-afternoon, both boys and girls, 3 and 4:30. And then Clarkson gets the nightcap. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we just kind of see what happens. And we show up when we need to for the games. And it's going to be a 3-day full affair of just a lot of basketball and a fantastic crowd every single time we do the Avista tournament. And I'm very, very excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Grangeville down. I think this is the first time in a while that Grangeville's been down. Like I said a few minutes ago, kind of bummed that Walla Walla's not making the trip, but hats off for them playing some bigger schools, playing up, and also to the to Eastmont and Wenatchee with what they're doing. So it's awesome.
All right, let's get into some NFL action as it is. I talked about at the beginning of the program. This could be the weirdest week I've ever seen. And we just went through, the major section of COVID last year where games got moved around, even got moved around weeks if teams had the same bye weeks, or even if not, they were trying to shift things around to whatever they could work. All of a sudden, this year we've had no postponements at all. The NFL was very much against it, and then all of a sudden, obviously COVID is breaking out everywhere. All the sports are being hampered with it. We will get into the other sports and what they're doing with it later on in the show. But as far as the NFL goes, they moved 3 games this weekend. One that was supposed to be on Saturday moved to Monday. A couple Sunday games moved to Tuesday, which are still going on at the moment. Both are pretty close as we talk. But the crazy thing to me is not just the COVID moving, but how strange the actual football action was on Sunday. And if anybody out there plays fantasy football, we're not going to go into our teams, and it's not going to be a rant session about how bad they are or anything. But I was listening to another podcast Sunday night, and they brought up a stat that Sunday was the lowest touchdown output on any Sunday in the NFL that had at least 10 games on it since 1992.
Was that the one that I was hearing was like the lowest, like 41 points or something total per
It's like
game
41,
average?
It was like only 40 touchdowns, I think,
Yeah.
in all of Sunday. It was just awful. And some of your main point getters were absolutely terrible. Like they were talking about how you could have a team that is all in the top 5 in their positions on the year, and they would have been projected for like 160 points, and they scored 40. It was just an absolutely weird week. So weird that the Lions crushed the Cardinals, and I wasn't even surprised by it.
How about not only that? How about you hold Tom Brady to 0 points?
Just what was that? There's like 300 and some straight starts he had where he scored points, and that goes away. And actually, Kevin's scoring is slow. Eagles are now only up by 3, 20-17 with 11:30 to go. But he is right. Rams up 17-10 over the Seahawks with about 4:40 to go. So just it's I don't know.
You
As
and I
much as I love the NFL, I don't know if I like Tuesday Night Football.
Well, I don't either, but it's like you said, and we talked about over the last few weeks. It's any given Sunday or any given Tuesday night or Monday night, whatever it has been here lately. For some of these teams to come out and win and to be shocked by the outcome, I think the biggest shock was Kyler Murray and them not dominating against Detroit. So it's
It was
just
the complete opposite. Straight domination by Detroit. Which, hey, we got our question right from a few weeks ago where I said, believe it or not, that Detroit will win multiple games this season, and they do, even before the games that I thought they were going to win. So all of a sudden, we'll see what they do. They still have the Falcons and Seahawks coming up the next 2 weeks, and they could win both of those, especially the way that they are playing. So just, it's the NFL, and it's absolutely weird. But the only thing we can know for sure, and we will get right into our Homer headlines with mine, is the Jets suck. Just, still, that's the one thing that is a proven fact that will not go away as much as we would love it to. But Jets looked like a decent team for the first half against Miami. Got a little bit too crazy with the trick plays for my liking. I liked it a lot more when they were doing dink and dunks and quick pass plays and working the run game. Then they started adding in some of the trickery in there, which was working. But that then led into Wilson holding the ball far too long, Miami making great adjustments. And then the second half was more of what you expected between those two teams. So Jets do lose, and all of a sudden are very much in contention for the number one pick. And now that's all I care about. Give me the first pick.
Yeah, I mean, your team, I thought I really was so excited to see what Saleh could do with your team and what Zach Wilson was going to bring. And they've just, for me, it seems like they've just underperformed worse than I thought that having that change was going to be for your team. So
injuries have been absolutely brutal. The defense has been worse than I was expecting. I didn't think they were going to be great. But that secondary is pitiful. And Kevin is very, very close. It's Jacksonville 1, Detroit 2, Houston 3, and the Jets 4 at the moment. But Houston and the Jets are all based off of strength of schedule, and that changes so frequently. Who knows? But the big thing is Detroit, again, gets Atlanta and Seattle the next two. They could win one of those. And the Jets play Jacksonville next week. So just like that, the Jets could very much be in that top spot or top two spots if Houston sticks around, or who knows. But just things to look forward to is the Jets having a top pick that they could blow later. What they do. How about Robert's Homer headline? We're going to have some fun with this one.
I can't believe it again. And lucky enough, nobody was at home while I was watching my game because I was cursing at the screen. I was yelling. I was like, again, failed attempt, failed again in a 2-point attempt. Less than 2 weeks apart. We have week 13 and week 15. John Harbaugh decides to go for it because of injuries and the depleted secondary and what was happening. And for me, the play call just doesn't make sense. I'm like, I would rather take my chances, especially with still 40 seconds to go against Green Bay, and let Justin Tucker kick it and tie the game. I mean, you got the best kickers.
Was this you when you were at home? I'll see if this works.
What the hell's going on out here?
Is that you?
Yeah, oh yeah. I think there might have been an expletive thrown in there too. Besides that, but yeah, I just wonder, and I think I don't remember if it was you that I texted or if it was Jamin that I texted. Do you have the number one kicker, one of the best kickers to ever play the game, and why would you not take a chance with him, especially knowing that Green Bay's kicker has not? And I mean, the play call wasn't. I didn't agree with this play call based, unlike the play call from 2 weeks ago, where Lamar is throwing semi from the pocket and has, Mark Andrews going out into the flat. This one, you take Huntley, you roll him out, so you cut the field. You literally cut the field in half, and so there's no anything behind you. I don't know if I like the design play call of that one compared to the one there from 2 weeks ago, but you got to give the chance of Justin Tucker to tie the game up, and let's take the chances with Green Bay's kicker because he has not been automatic this year.
Stop it. We all know Aaron Rodgers was going to score a touchdown. They weren't even going to have to worry about a field goal.
We know nothing to that effect. We know nothing. So,
again.
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
There you go. Nobody give Randy a soundboard. It's just bad news. I'm having too much fun trying to figure out what all of these are. But yeah, I knew when they decided to go for 2 that it was going to be a fun time on the show. And especially when they failed to do it. It made it even better. Let's look around the rest of the NFL slate. Like we said, Detroit completely crushing Arizona 30-12. I think that was a bit surprising. Some playoff pictures starting to take shape a little bit. It's so weird that like Green Bay is still the only team I believe that has clinched the playoff spot, and we have 3 weeks to go. Because every team that had a chance to clinch a playoff spot or clinch our division with a win all lost this week. But you saw Kansas City hold on to a close win in overtime against the Chargers, which kept them in first place in that division. The Chargers could have had first place there. Patriots let the Bills get right back into it as they lost to the Colts. Bills take care of business against Carolina. What playoff battle right now do you think is the most intriguing to you right now?
I would, for me, I definitely have to say AFC North. I mean, I'm not trying to play homer, but there's too many things that can happen. I mean, Cincinnati is right there. Cleveland is trying to make a push. Baltimore shooting themselves in the foot. And right now, from where Baltimore goes from leading the AFC 2 weeks ago to now is the 8th seed and looking in, it's going to be up in the air. And hats off to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh actually won, and there is just as much of a chance in there. So I think that's going to be the most competitive coming down at the end. But, I am intrigued with what's happening out west as San Francisco's getting hotter. San Francisco's getting really hot. I've been back and forth on my pick for Thursday night because I don't know what to think about it. So if I had to look at both of them, I would say the AFC West and I would say the NFC West and the AFC North.
To me, it's the wild card situation in the NFC. It is such a cluster right now. You're having a great game between the Eagles and Washington right now, where Philadelphia just scored again. So it looks like they're going to go back up by 10 with under 8 minutes to go, which would put them in that group that is 7-7, and Washington would be the team that is 6-8. But you're going to have Minnesota and New Orleans, and the winner of that game all tied at 7-7 for that last wild card. And at that point, who knows which one you think is going to be the team that comes out of that group? It's a complete mess. And what's even crazier is Pittsburgh. Half game. Mitchell sent this to me either today or yesterday. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a half game out of leading the division and a half game out of 13th in the AFC. It's that close and that crazy right now. And the fact that we only have 5 teams that are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs with, again, 3 weeks to go, it's just the NFL has parity, and it's great.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. We looked at how, and we've talked about it, after seeing so many of these teams upset over the last few weeks to anything is possible. Detroit, who would have figured Detroit would have handled Kyler Murray, and which brings the next week's pairing between I'm drawing a blank. Between Arizona and they are facing. I'm trying to remember here. They're taking Indianapolis on Saturday night. I mean, Christmas game.
Mhm.
I mean, that's an intriguing matchup more than what I would have thought it would have been if Arizona would have handled business this week. But now, don't doubt my player of the week.
Stop it.
I know. Again,
He wasn't even that great this week. Everyone, we'll just get right to it real quick. We'll get to the COVID news. But your player of the week for the 17th straight week minus his one bye week is Jonathan Taylor, who
I've had him 3
he
times.
broke off one big run. And he has
100
had a fantastic season. But everyone now is going, that's an MVP performance. No, it wasn't. What are people smoking right now? The dude had 100 yards going into that one breakout where all he needed was a first down to win the game, but found a wide open hole and scored a touchdown from it. That's not him.
Isn't that the object, is to find a hole and hit it and go and score a touchdown?
He
I
didn't
mean,
get a
that's what it
touchdown
is.
there, though.
But that's the object, right?
So he got a touchdown. He got one touchdown.
But that's the object, right?
Yeah, and he did it one time. And everyone's like, he had a fantastic game. No, he had one run. He had one
67 yards.
fantastic run.
He still
That's
had
it.
over 100.
Yeah.
Still had over 100.
Yeah.
Still had over 100.
So did a lot of people. Are they MVP candidates?
No, because Jonathan
Exactly.
Taylor is.
And neither is Jonathan Taylor. Stop it.
Well, that's what I think. We're not handing it to Tom Brady. Will not happen.
He's a better chance of winning it than Jonathan Taylor.
Ah,
And that's even with Tom Brady getting shut out by New Orleans. Just it makes no sense to me. Like everyone is such a creature of the moment, or just a victim of one big play. Oh my God! Now he's an MVP. No,
1,500 yards, 17 touchdowns. Tell me who's anywhere closer to him.
Derrick Henry still probably.
He's not anywhere close. Derrick Henry will be lucky if he gets to play week 18.
What is Derrick Henry's stats at right now? Because he had the lead forever after he was out.
I think he's sitting like 800 yards or something like that. 850 yards. Somewhere there in there, I think.
937 yards. He played 8 games.
He's still 600
He had
behind.
10 touchdowns in 8 games.
Still behind.
He's played half of the year, and he would have crushed him.
He will not get votes. He'll get votes, but he won't end up winning it.
No, but I'm just saying that one run is not what an MVP worthy run. No, if they were losing, and he breaks it out, then sure. But you're just trying to get a first down and run the clock out, and he turned it into a touchdown. It's a great run, and it's a great game-sealing run. But it wasn't like he won the game for them. They were winning the game.
Still putting up numbers.
Not that great. Not that great of numbers.
So that was my player of the week. Your player of the week has to be
Travis
George
Kelce.
Kittle.
No, Travis Kelce. Go back tight ends wise. Dude knocked me out of the playoffs 2 weeks ago because he did not play well. And now he's going to knock me out of another set of playoffs because he went bonkers against me in that league. So I have to give it to him. And his big play won the game, unlike Jonathan Taylor. In overtime against the Chargers, just ran by people. 10 catches, 191 yards, which is, by the way, more than Jonathan Taylor. And he had 2 touchdowns, which is more than Jonathan Taylor. By the way, I would have voted for your tight end over Jonathan Taylor this week.
Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews
Green Bay
had a
could
great.
not stop Mark Andrews.
Yeah, he had another big night too. 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards. So, but yeah, got to go with the runner. So, do we want to even hit the COVID thing?
You have to hit the COVID because it's a mess.
Again, I think the biggest name on that one, another 51 players hit the COVID list. yesterday. Tyreek Hill hit the list today. Are we
Travis
starting
Kelce
to?
did too.
Yeah. Are we worried now for Kansas City as what they had 6 or 7 that I saw made the list today? Should the Kansas City Chiefs be worried?
No. Because they're in the playoffs. That's about it.
That's about it. The largest numbers, we'll get into some of the other COVID actions coming up, but I know I threw it in there just to appease our buddy Jimmy Maydall. Are you shocked that the Giants shut down Daniel Jones?
No. It's a mess there. I've never believed in Daniel Jones anyways, but with the neck deal and the season being over, it makes sense, right? You know what you have with Daniel Jones. If you believe in it, you're going to re-sign him anyways. If not, then you're going to move on. Nothing he's going to do over the last 3 weeks would have changed anything, and the risk of putting him back out there with his injury is too great. So I definitely don't blame them for that.
How about the comment that we heard last week? We didn't bring it up last week, but of Saquon saying he wants to stay in New York and be there his entire career. Do you think that changes if they do or they don't get things figured out?
Depends on how many zeros are in his contract. Oh, it says something about Saquon that he wants to make it work. If that's even true, I mean, it could just be fan speak and trying to play the nice guy, and then oh no, they just didn't want me around. But I'd like to see Saquon, get healthy again and stay healthy and be back to the Saquon of old. But yeah, it doesn't happen very often where a player is going to stay with the same team, and if it's a actual feeling that he has, then that's very cool, and you root for him to be able to do that. And congratulations to the Rams for beating the Seahawks and helping the Jets out with the draft pick.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. The Rams are gonna end up with another win. Seattle just falling farther and farther down. It's time to clear house.
Love it.
Time to clear house. That's all I gotta say about that one. So
Washington can just make the comeback so I can win the picks.
No. I gotta just give one game back to you. I mean, Washington needs to stay behind right now.
It definitely is looking like it is the case as they turn the ball over on down. So it looks like Philadelphia will win that game. So getting down to the nitty gritty here on week 15.
Week 15.
It feels like this week's gone on forever because it has.
All right.
But yeah, as far as COVID, we saw a lot of it. And let's get right into it with Brandy's Believe It or Not, which means I'm going to hit this music and then it's not going to play and I'm going to be sad. But here we go. See if it works. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into Randy's Believe It or Not for this week. Once I figure out what I did with the radio show segment, there we go. All right, believe it or not, more games will be moved before the end of the season.
I think with everything going on and now another 6 people hitting or just out of the Chiefs game, I think it's inevitable that they're going to make another few moves. But it brings up a good topic. Jamin and I talked about it after our conversation the other day about, do they put these teams in bubbles?
Yes.
What kind of restrictions?
They need to.
Restrictions. And I agree. I think they do. And we talked about that as we drove to Pendleton the other night. And I think it has to happen. And it's got to happen sooner than later. And, I'm sorry about the holidays, but it's got to happen. It's got to happen quick.
And actually, I don't like their new rules that they're doing anyways, where they're like changing when they're going to test vaccinated people, because like, not to get into it, but obviously vaccinated people are spreading it just as much. Now, obviously, based on other situations, the severity of it is not as great. Hospitalization is not as great if you're vaccinated. Deaths are not as high a quality, but you are still spreading it. So then not testing them as often just means when you do test, you're going to be just like the Lions, and all of a sudden 30 of you are going to be testing positive. Or with the Chiefs having 7 today, and the less you test, the faster it's going to spread between your team, and the next thing you know, half your team's out, and we have to move things again. So I'm surprised that they are changing the rules by testing less than more, because again, once you do test, the numbers are going to be high. It's just where we are right now. It is flu season on top of everything, and we saw it last year. Things start to spike around now, and it's spiking crazy this season. So it's going to be a mess. These last 3 weeks are going to be a complete mess, and I do believe once we hit playoff time, teams are going to bubble the hell up to make sure that they are at full strength as far as playoff games go. And anyone that is hanging out in that last 6, 7, 8, 9th seed should be thinking about it right now. Get through Christmas maybe, and then bubble up and try to stay at full strength, because you're going to have to if you're going to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Tom Brady for a second, about Robert not thinking he should be the MVP, but he did come out with a comment after he saw 75 of his teammates get injured on Sunday night. But Brady, believe it or not, is correct that the NFL needs to protect the legs of receivers.
Listen, I coach, and Mike Tacko brings up a good point. And when he was, I watch and I look for protection of your teammates and players there too. I think they need to look at all kinds of protection for all players. I'm not a big fan of offensive linemen chopping, D linemen down just to get a screen pass over the front, and they do that at the middle school level and the high school level, not in our area as well as in college. I am not a big fan of that. So I kind of agree with him on one point, but I would also extend it to everybody. I mean, anything below the knee, you've really got to watch, and look at how many people we've had out now with ACLs, MCLs. So I think it might be coming down the pipeline within the next year or two.
Yeah, it really needs to. Obviously, the target has gotten lower and lower as people get more and more worried about concussions, and you're getting a lot more unnecessary roughness anytime a hit is up near the head at all. So now you get players diving towards the knees just to be safe, and that's where you're going to get all these injuries. And I agree. It's time to do what you do with the quarterbacks and shrink it in. Say below the neck, above the knees. That's where you can hit people.
I agree.
All right. Believe it or not, this week has been weirder than any week last season.
I would think so. I mean, it's just feels like a roller coaster ride, moving all these games. Detroit coming up with a win they probably shouldn't have come up with. Tom Brady with a goose egg. Yeah, this is a pretty weird week.
The New York Jets will finish with the top pick in the NFL draft, believe it or not.
I don't think so. I think Jacksonville and Houston are going to beat them out. I think New York will end up with the 3rd pick.
Do you think the Jets are going to win?
They'll win at least one more. Yep.
They play the Jaguars next week.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key one.
Yep.
And I do believe possibly the Texans would have to win as well. I don't see them winning one, but it all comes down to strength of schedule. I do think Detroit wins at least one more, possibly 2. But no, I don't think Jets are going to beat Jacksonville next week. Well, so I think it just comes down to the Texans and Jets.
Yeah, and Houston ends up having to play against the Chargers this week. So, I mean, I don't think that is going to be much of a contest. But any given Sunday.
The Lions destroyed the Cardinals, so you never know. And the last one here, Tuesday football does not need to become a thing.
Tuesday NFL football does not need to be a thing.
That's true. Tuesday night football is all about the MAC.
It is about the MAC. I like the MAC. We have something to talk about why we do our show during the early part of the season. But no, I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I feel kind of bad. On one hand, I do. On one hand, I don't. Is who gets the short end of the stick this week, and that is Cleveland. Cleveland plays last night, and then they've got to turn around. And it's the same idea around the holiday time. but yes, there are teams that play a Sunday game and have to turn around and play on Thursday.
Mhm.
But no, I don't think we need to have NFL games on Tuesday. But
No.
who knows with this whole COVID thing? I heard him say, I want to say it was Siciliano today, that it's just becoming the new norm with this COVID stuff, and we have to adapt with it.
Yeah, and they're making it work the best that they can. Again, every sport is going through it right now. A lot of other jobs are going through it right now. COVID's going through every workplace in the country. Everyone's just continuing to deal with it. I still wish that they would have been a little clearer when they were announcing, the 2 week deal, and would have clarified they meant 2 decades. But it's just what we got to do, and we got to get used to it, and make whatever we can work while we deal with this mess. And will it end? I don't know. Will baseball happen next year? I don't know anymore. It's a lot of uncertainties in the world, and you just kind of have to roll with it, right?
Yep.
All right, so we already
Exactly.
did our players of the week. What about the game of the week? Not to rub it in, but Green Bay Baltimore was very, very entertaining. Good back and forth game. More offense than I was expecting out of Baltimore and Huntley. He definitely relied on Mark Andrews the entire way, and it worked out beautifully. So that's my game of the week, is Green Bay over Baltimore.
I did like the game. I was a little frustrated with the outcome, so it shied me away. But I've heard so many comments about this was a interview basically for Huntley. How many rosters could you put Tyler Huntley in right now, and
One.
he'd be the
One.
starting quarterback?
One.
And it's not Baltimore like you think with
Yeah.
Richie.
Yeah. Again, I love how I make that joke to you on Sunday. You're like, oh, that's all you ever think is different everything's a quarterback controversy. No, I just bring it up because the Jets have their third string quarterback win a game, and that's all I got to hear. So I just bring it right back to you. That's all right.
Yeah, so that was really the only game I got to watch, except for, and it was an interesting drive home. And I think Jamin's listening tonight. Jamin and I did the basketball game in Pendleton, and as we started the game, our basketball game, we had a phone up there sitting there watching while doing PA, and then we had the phone playing in the car as we're leaving Pendleton, heading back to Walla Walla, watching the game. So for me, I mean, it was actually nice to see Colts play, and they played quite well. They jumped out quick and was up 20-0 and held off the Pats 27-17. So if it wasn't my game, this was probably the best game of the week. Even though lots of things happen, we always know New Orleans plays Tampa Bay tight. They come up with a big win. Arizona, that was I think that was more shocking than anything.
And congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles defeating the Washington football team 27-17. So you do end up only losing the one game to me this week, which it could have been a lot worse, but working my way there, just slowly but surely. Just what a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, you're wrong on that. You are 10-6. I'm 11-5.
I didn't put the other ones in there.
You did not put the other game. But while you fix that, week 16 is here, which usually means 2 weeks to go, but because this year is wonky, we have 3 weeks left. Week 16, the game to watch, and you posted in our notes that there's a lot of intriguing matchups, and there are, but the most intriguing one to me is who's going to get that number one pick. Give me the homer. Give me Jacksonville and the Jets as my most intriguing game of the week.
There's a lot of different things. Cleveland's trying to still scrape to try to get into the playoffs. The Cleveland Green Bay game on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Is Baker going to be there to play? Aaron Rodgers trying to get the record. He will get the record at home for most touchdowns by a quarterback. Washington Dallas is an intriguing matchup on Sunday Night Football. Can Washington keep slowly trying to stay in this one? With the loss tonight, it might make things a little bit less interesting. Pittsburgh, Kansas City. There are a lot of good games. So for me, I think I'm going to lead a little bit more and go ahead and give me the late night game on Saturday. Give me Indianapolis and Arizona.
That's a good one. Again, there's a lot of really good games this upcoming week. We will see if they all get played when they're supposed to be played. That's the other intriguing aspect to all of that. But let's get to our weekly pick'ems. As I do go 11-5 for the week, you go 10-6. So your lead is now down to 5 games. As I think I've beaten you 6 out of the last 7 weeks.
Yep.
But I just keep only being able to game 1 game every single time. But I've cut that giant lead of yours down to just 5, and we will see where we go from there. Thursday night is San Francisco at Tennessee. I always go home team, but the injuries right now for Tennessee on the offensive side, I don't think A.J. Brown's going to play. So give me San Francisco. They've been red hot.
Yeah, as you could tell in our notes, I've been back and forth, and I'm thinking it all day. And I think I'm going to have to agree with you. I'm going to go San Francisco. I know it's the away team. San Francisco is just way too hot, so I got to go with them right now. And you're changing your color on your light again, huh?
No.
Oh, looks like it faded out.
Oh, I just was switching screens. So my computer screens are very bright.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I'm just making sure that our other guest is still set for tonight. Doing production while we do the show. That's just what we do. All right, let's get into some local high school sports, which, at least for Lewiston, not a ton going on.
How did you enjoy your week?
I worked other places, but not for Lewiston, as they were both on the road Thursday and Friday night. The boys come away with a win, barely 58-56 against Sandpoint on Thursday, so they moved to 6-0 on the year. Girls do fall in a close one to Sandpoint, 46-40. So they dropped to 5-4 on the season. Both now waiting for the Avista tournament, and we will see where we go from there. But 2 very close games against a difficult Sandpoint team. Clarkson had a few more games than that.
Yeah, Clarkson was busy this week as we had games on Tuesday against Moscow. We did talk about those on Wednesday, and then the girls played. Clarkson was busy this week as we. Well, that was weird.
That was very weird.
Here we go. Rebuffering. Here we go. Clarkson girls ended up playing against Pendleton. Took on the Buckaroos on Thursday night at Lewiston High School. Got to call the game up there inside the new gymnasium. Bantams come out firing, and they were hot getting things going. Erica Pickett had just, I believe she was at 9 points just in the first half. Did really well. She ends up scoring 16, but the Bantams were led by Maggie Ogden, the other big post player for the Clarkson Bantams. She had 18 points. Kendall Wallace put in 13 too, but Chloe Tabor, and I don't know how she did against Lewiston, but Chloe Tabor of Pendleton ended up knocking down 6 3-pointers, had 27 points in that game. It was crazy to see how well she did against the Bantams. So.
Honestly, can't remember, and my notebook is out in the car. So
yeah,
I can't remember.
So the girls only had 1 game after the Moscow game, and that was there on Thursday. The boys, on the other hand, had 3 games this week. One where they took on Lewis and Clark at home. Bantams come out sluggish. They were trailing 10-3 after the first quarter. And then the game gets tied up 14-14 in the end of the second quarter. And then the Bantams come out and decide that it's time to play a little ball, scoring 24 points in the fourth quarter. And they end up winning over Lewis and Clark at home. First game in Kramer Gym in the Coop, and they come away with a 53-33 win. Austin Simon leads the way with 15 points, Xavier Santana with 13, and Mason Van Tine with 11. And then hit the road on Saturday, and I traveled down to Pendleton to call the game on the radio. Bantams jump out to a quick start, totally different start than what the night before was. Santana scores 9 points just in the first quarter alone. But they were led by some really tough defense by Landon Taylor. Landon forced a lot of turnovers. He ended up with 3 big steals, had, I believe, 8 points. Unbelievable. Mason Vantine drops 16 points. He shot the ball a little bit more than he normally does. And so, but then they gave up some big threes to Grayson Sams. And I was going to ask you the same thing, how Grayson played against Lewiston the other day. He drops 8 3-pointers, has 30 points for the Buckaroos down there in Pendleton. So it was crazy. And then last night, hey, Carson, last night the Bantams went back on the road after having just Sunday off. We went up to Freeman. Bantams led the entire way up until the 1 minute and 4 second point of the fourth quarter, and they get outscored in the fourth quarter 24-14 and end up losing by a score of 62-58. Bantams were led. They led by as much as 12 points at one time. Xavier Santana has 15 big points. Steinwan had a monster, massive dunk. Nice move to fake to his left and drives in the paint and slams it home with that one. But again, another big game where the Bantams gave up another big number to players. Freeman had a 6'5" guard that they gave up 29 points to, and he just went crazy in the second quarter and fourth quarter and scored 11 in both of them. So, but we look forward to the Avista tournament, and Clarkson, we'll talk Clarkson first. Clarkson girls will play at 6:30. They will take on a big opponent in Post Falls, who is good in the 5A. They will be hosting them. And then Clarkson takes on a 1A team from Tacoma, taking on Annie Wright. Right now, they're 6-0. And right now, they are averaging 89 points a game and outscoring their opponents by 276 points. So Bantams are going to have a tough game to kick things off for the Avista. Now for Lewiston, you've got some morning games.
Yeah, Lewiston, it was both morning games. They're both against Grangeville. The girls start things off at 9 in the morning. Boys will go on in the second game around 10:30 in the morning. And also the boys JV ended up in the bracket, is again with COVID and everything moving around, had to fill in that last spot. So Lewiston JV will play at noon against Moscow in the fourth game of the tournament. Well, I guess third game of the tournament, because that'll be right after the Grangeville-Lewiston boys game.
Yeah, we had to make an adjustment because Richland couldn't get here early enough. So we'll play 1, 2, and 4, and then we'll jump back and catch game 3.
Yeah. So we could see Lewiston versus Lewiston JV in the second round, whether it's the championship side of the bracket or the consolation side of the bracket. It would be really interesting to then just. I'll be rooting for Lewiston JV if that happens, just for fun.
Just for you have to. Yeah, you almost have to, because they would be playing that big underdog. So I would love to see that happen.
And Harry's asking questions and stuff. All right, where are we at? Let's go to local college sports now. LCSC had that big weekend in some Cascade Conference action. Both teams split for their 2 games. First for the men, they are now 11-2 on the year, 4-1 in conference as they defeated Eastern Oregon 76-72 and then fell in the big clash between 2 top 20 teams. The College of Idaho were never really in that game, but College of Idaho wins that one 69-55. On the women's side, they do take their first loss of the season, 72-70 against Eastern Oregon. They had the lead with like 2.5 minutes to go. I want to say it was their last 7 shots that they missed, and then they gave up the game-winning 3 with inside 10 seconds to go in that one. But they do bounce back on Saturday, and they defeat College of Idaho 66-53. So they are now 10-1 on the year, 4-1 in conference. And both teams now off until, I think it's December 31st is the next game. For both of them, they'll play December 31st and January 1st. So we will talk more about that next week. And also, Jason Eck was named the Idaho football head coach. Any hopes for him to turn that program around?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. There's got to be a lot of work to happen at Idaho to get them back anywhere to where they used to play. A fresh new coach. I was not a huge fan of Petrino, and especially where you play your son over two other quarterbacks that I thought were, well, at least one was a lot better. One not near as mobile, but I'm not shocked that Petrino's gone.
No, I wasn't either. And then we will see. It's who knows with Idaho, that's for sure. But new beginnings, and we will give them the benefit of the doubt going in. Let's get to college bowls, slumber party city, and our picks show it. You are winning right now. You are 6-5 on 5-6. That's how great we are in our college bowls, and you are winning the one right now. San Diego State crushing UTSA 31-17. Though UTSA is an go situation to try to make that a one-possession game, but I don't care. I think I watched a few plays of the Idaho Potato Bowl earlier just because it was on. There was a lot of points scored in the few minutes that I turned it on, but I'm sorry. Bowl games, there's too many.
Yeah,
and
well,
I'm just not interested in a 6-6 third place Mountain West team versus a 6-6 fifth place WAC team. I just don't care. WAC's not even a thing anymore, but they somehow finished fifth there.
I think the biggest thing on that game that, and I told you about it, there was 1,170 yards. I mean, there was probably more yards than there was fans in the stands on the blue, or even on the blue field, and it was back and forth there for a little bit, but 656 yards that Kent puts up, and they end up losing by 2 scores.
Question from Marty Dixon. What do you think of Bo Nix transferring from Auburn going to Oregon next year?
I think it might do him some good, but from you going from an SEC team to a Pac-12, I don't see you getting any more notoriety moving out west, because most of the East Coast doesn't know what happens to Pac-12 schools as it is. They don't follow it, so I don't know if it's going to be a big plus for Oregon to pick him up. Maybe that adds a little bit to the offense, but I mean, Bo Nix doesn't really excite me much.
No, me neither. It'd be interesting, and it's a well-known name, at least for quarterback for Oregon, but he wasn't blowing up the world by any means down there in Auburn. So we will see. Let's get in to our bowl picks, and actually we're going to bring in our guest if he is ready. We'll get his picks because maybe he has more interest in these damn things than I do, which is not hard to do. I have more interest in AEW than these bowl games, and that's saying a lot. But Harry Broadhurst from the Kickoff, man, it's been a while since I've been on a show with you. How you been?
I'm good, Randy. What's going on, Robert? How are you?
Good to see you. Yeah, we're missing a little bit of your podcast. What's up with you guys right now?
We are currently on hiatus due to some personal issues. The plan is to return come the NFL postseason.
Good to hear. I always love listening, chiming in with you guys, and listening. Once we get back, let us know. We'll push your show a little bit, but the Kickoff is a great program to listen to. A little bit more than what we can do on the college radio scene, but
yeah,
it is fun to listen to you guys.
Yeah, we're definitely not a family show, despite our insinuations otherwise.
Listen, Harry doesn't want to talk about it because it's a personal issue, but we all know that after the Braves finally won the World Series, Mr. Straight Ed's got a little drunk, and he's still coming down from the hangover from it. It's okay, Harry. We're glad that you guys will be back in January.
I mean, one of our teams had to win a championship eventually, right?
I don't know anymore. I just don't.
I'm talking.
Glad for you.
I'm talking to the Knicks fan. What does he know about championships?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. All right.
To answer your question about bowl interest, yeah, I'm 2-8-1 so far this year, so I ain't doing so hot either.
Luckily, we're just doing straight up because we don't care enough for spreads for bowls.
No, the one was because we didn't notice it in time in order to make a prediction. Me and Eric were doing predictions in our own personal chat.
Gotcha. All right, so we'll just go through these really quick. Let me see if I can go 2 for 2 on music on this show. That's a win. You got music? Yeah. That's sweet. All right. Let's go through these really quick because that's as much care as I have. But on Wednesday, you have the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl between Missouri and Army. It's an Armed Forces Bowl, so you got to go Army.
Army over Missouri to get the bad taste out of the loss to Navy.
100%. They're bad because they're down because Navy whooped on them. So Army to win.
On Thursday, you get the Frisco Football Classic between Miami of Ohio and North Texas. Give me North Texas and shout out to Sean Garmer for that one.
Miami of Ohio because I'm in Ohio and bleep Sean Garmer.
I'm going Miami, Ohio. I'm as much as I'm not an Ohio State fan or any of those, even a Cleveland fan, but I gotta say it, Miami, Ohio.
Real quick, interesting story about this game, Randy. It's actually the added bowl game because there were 41 bowl games for 83 eligible teams. They added a 42nd. San Francisco petitioned the committee in order to be able to add their bowl game back so that way all 84 bowl eligible teams could have a game.
That's just another one I won't watch. And quick score update for local basketball. I just got from ScoreStream. Girls basketball action. Orfino defeats St. Mary's 46-20. So congratulations to the Maniacs on that one. Let's move on to the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl between. Oh God, let's keep this to a short minimum, sir, Harry. Florida versus UCF. I'm taking a Florida team, but it's not the ones that do this.
I don't care about your irrelevant opinion, Mr. Isbell.
I'm gonna guess Harry is. Yep, there he is, taking the Gators. Robert, what you got?
Listen, if I go against a team who is hated by my family are Bulldog fans. I would get shot if I took the University of Florida. Give me UCF winning this one.
I just want to let you know, Randy, you're on the same side as Bisco here. Just keep that in mind.
Hey, is he better than 2-8-1?
I don't know. We don't talk anymore.
Right. On Friday, you have the East Coast Hawaii Bowl, which this always drives me nuts. Why does Hawaii always get to play in their own bowl? But Memphis traveling to Hawaii. And you always have to take Hawaii because the other team's going to be too busy sightseeing.
I'm taking Memphis, actually. I think Memphis is going to surprise some people. Plus, I think Hawaii is going to be too comfortable with the fact that they're playing at home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go home team with Hawaii. As much as I do like Memphis, I think Hawaii's got the home field advantage.
I would also say that the American Athletic was significantly better than the Mountain West this year.
On Christmas, you have the Tax Act Camiella whatever bowl. I don't care. Ball State.
Carmelia?
State. I don't know what it is. Give me Georgia State. I don't know what that thing is. I don't care. The Tax Act is sponsoring it, and I don't care about those two teams.
What were the two teams again you cut out?
Ball State and Georgia State.
Wow. No one. Just because I like David Letterman, give me Ball State.
I'm going to go Georgia State.
The only reason I picked Georgia State is with the music you're listening right now. NCAA Football 14. Georgia State is the worst rated team on that game, and it was a team I always played as to try to build them up to be a powerhouse. It's the only reason why I picked them.
You ready for NCAA football to come back?
Yes. As long as it's not card systemed up and
Oh, like Madden is
microtransactions.
now? Yeah.
That's
Screw
all.
that.
That's all I care about.
Screw
On
that.
Monday, December 27th, the Quick Lane Bowl between Western Michigan and Nevada. It's up in the Michigan area, so give me Western Michigan.
Nevada. Ow! Don't turn your back on the Wolfpack.
Yeah, go Wolfpack. I'm going to take Nevada in this one.
Military Bowl with no military involved. Boston College and Eastern Carolina. Give me Eastern Carolina.
Again, as good as I thought the American Athletic was this year, I think the ACC was better top to bottom. Not great, granted. Clemson obviously had a down year, and their best hope for the CFP was Wake Forest. But I'll take Boston College because we saw what they did against Clemson earlier this year.
I would say Eagles, but I'm going to lead East Carolina. Give me Eastern Carolina on this one.
And then a bunch on Tuesday, a week from today. Ticket Smarter, Birmingham Bowl, Houston, and Auburn. No, Auburn doesn't have their quarterback anymore, so give me Houston.
War Damn Eagle. Give me Auburn.
Yeah, I'm going to take Auburn. I think they're still going to be too powerful for Houston.
Houston did show up against Cincinnati in the AAC championship game, though.
Try to mess up everything. Surf Pro First Responder Bowl, Air Force, and Louisville. Give me Air Force.
Oh, I always take a military school if I can, especially against a Louisville team that had a very disappointing season. I'll take the Falcons as well.
They had a disappointing season, but I think they're going to come out on top of Air Force, and they're going to be having Lamar there to cheer them on. So give me Louisville.
Well, yeah, he's going to be benched, so he doesn't need to play football anymore, and so he can go watch these bowl games. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Texas Tech versus Mississippi State. Give me Mississippi State.
Mississippi State as well.
Yeah, they're going to cover the spread. Right now it's 9.5. It's going to be a blowout. Give me Mississippi State.
Two more here. The SDCCU Holiday Bowl between UCLA and NC State. UCLA has been a mess all year, so give me the Wolfpack. Give me NC State.
I already picked one Wolfpack. I'll take against them here. Give me UCLA bouncing back, and especially building off of the momentum off their win over USC to end the season.
I think this game is going to be the most close. I mean, with the spread, it's right now is only a 1-point spread. I think it's anybody's. So I think UCLA is the home team. They're closer to home. I think they pull this one out.
And last one here, Guaranteed Rate Bowl, West Virginia versus Minnesota. Give me Minnesota.
Well, given our kickoff connection, I think I would be disowned if I didn't take the Mountaineers. So I'm going to go ahead and do so.
And I'm going to take Minnesota. I think they're just going to be too much for West Virginia.
So Robert and I have 5 different out of the 12. God, there's 12 bowl games in the next week, and we still have more to come. I can't do it. I just
wait till next Friday and Saturday hit with the 31st and the 1st. You'll have a lot of fun on next week.
At least those games are with teams that actually can play football.
Granted.
Right now we're watching the AEW YouTube shows. I just don't care. It's too much.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Looking at some college basketball right now, Gonzaga 9-2, and they're ranked 4th. Washington State 8-4 on the year, doing decently well. Idaho finally getting a couple wins out of there, 3-8, and Eastern Washington 6-5. On the women's side, Washington State 8-3 on the year. So is Gonzaga. Eastern and Idaho definitely struggling. The Eagles 2-7 on the year, and the Idaho Vandals 1-9. But it was nice to see Ashlyn Wallace getting some decent playing time. Were they in Hawaii or were? Yeah,
they
just
were
recently, and she had a fantastic second half. And I know the coach was saying that she was really happy to see her actually taking some shots instead of giving up the rock, which is what we saw from Clarkston her entire high school career. So very nice to see.
Kansas currently 8-1, supposed to be playing right now, but COVID.
Yeah, it definitely is everywhere. Just a complete mess. All right, let's get into the reason why we have Harry on the show, and that is our sports-related draft, where Robert and I go back and forth picking on a certain sports topic, and we now bring in somebody to say who won and lost, because Robert got really tired of my bias of me saying I won every week, even though I was right. It's my turn to pick. As last week, Robert picked the best Heisman winners of all time, which I won. Which I'm not liking our trend of whoever sets up the draft, the other person has won so far. But it is the Christmas time, and I wanted to come up with some sort of a Christmas theme.
Does Harry know this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Harry and I talked about it a little bit on
Okay.
Sunday, and actually, I told Harry what I was doing before I even told you.
Oh,
And but
He did.
You know, it is Christmas time, and one of the Christmas parties that a lot of people, all the cool people go to, I don't go to. I'm not a cool person, but is those ugly sweater parties, right? You have those ugly Christmas sweaters that everyone spends money on to wear once a year. Well, NHL jerseys are called sweaters, so let's go with that. What are the worst current NHL jerseys, which became really hard to do when I started looking them up, because most of them are bland as hell. But we're going to have fun with it. And I'm going to see if I can pull excuse me, some stuff up so Harry can.
We got to get Randy a cough button over there.
I'm battling still. It's been 3 weeks and I still can't get over the cough. But Robert, you are up, sir, and I'm going to try to pull up.
all right. So for me, this one was kind of a no-brainer. And looking, and this is hard for me because of the two tones and the colors, the color blindness. But the way they look, they just for me, it looks like a knitted sweater on the bottom, black and green. Give me Arizona Coyotes. I mean, look at the Coyote. He just looks too stiff, too rigid, and it literally does look like the ugliest sweater that you could go and find anywhere. It kind of looks like the red and black one I have for Christmas holiday.
Oh my God, it really does look like a holiday sweater, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so that was a no-brainer for me. It looks like it's like nice little ribbon tweel around the bottom. No, so the worst one by far has to be the Arizona Coyotes.
Thoughts on that one there, Harry?
First of all, I think that may be the first time in recorded sports podcast history that the words ribbon tweel have ever been used. So kudos. Yeah, that the mascot looks like something you'd see on a goaltender's mask, ironically, not something that a team would use as an actual licensed jersey. Oof.
Yeah.
Good start.
It's definitely a good start. And actually, when I was looking them up, I was disappointed with myself. I wanted to change it to all-time jerseys because they had some interesting alternate jerseys. Did the Coyotes as well?
Not to mention,
man, Jesus, there were some horrible jersey ideas in the 90s.
Not to mention, they're going to be homeless at the end of the season as well. Did you guys hear about that?
We did not. I did not. At least.
Their arena is evicting them at the end of the year for unpaid taxes.
Great. All right. So Robert went with the Coyotes. I am going to go with the almighty Ducks.
Oh, how dare you? That's blasphemous, sir.
And here's the reason. Because the one on the right over here is the jersey they go with now. And this is the jersey I'm talking about as being ugly. Because the Mighty Ducks should always look like that.
Okay,
They
that's
should
fair.
always have the movie logo as their jersey. That's where they became a team, is because of the movie, not this weird duck foot D thing. This is the ugly jersey, is their new design and not going with the movie tie-in anymore. I want the duck mask and the hockey sticks. And that is why the Anaheim Ducks current jersey is my first round pick.
For those reasons alone, I will allow it.
I appreciate it.
I
had to
That being said, round one to Robert, because Arizona's jerseys are a monstrosity.
pretty bad.
Yeah,
I
they're
do
terrible.
agree, they're pretty bad.
I do. I'm like you, Randy. I do like the old school mask of the Anaheim Ducks. There's just something
Mhm.
about the Ducks with that one. I don't mind this one. The insignia of the Ducks right now reminds me of something you would have found with the Jetsons. And I know the Jetsons was well before your time, but I
That's not
remember
true.
some of the
I grew up on the Jetsons.
I was about to say, how dare you defame the good name of the Jetsons?
I love the Jetsons, but
Ah,
that
course.
remind that little the arc twist kind of reminds me of some of the letterings that you saw then.
I'm very old enough for Hanna-Barbera.
I just got the Jetsons WWE movie. Actually, it was part of a 4-pack with the two
There you
with
go.
the two Scooby Doos and the Flintstones.
All right, Hagen, your second round pick. Sir.
This next one was another one that looked Christmas to me. Again, I believe it's green, but it's just that's not the way I see the Wild. I don't see the Wild. I want give me a big face facing at me, growling at me. I want to see that's what I want to see. I don't want to see this sweater where it's so two-dimensional. It's just like flat. So my round 2 pick has to be the Minnesota Wild.
I actually really like this jersey because of Minnesota. It fits with their design, with their decor, with the whole land of 10,000 lakes and stuff, and you get the views of the treetops from the lakes and stuff. I actually really like the Wild's jerseys.
Yes, that's what I want to hear. You screwed up, Hagen.
No, because I can't believe you picked the next one, because the next one is such an iconic one that just I don't understand.
Yeah.
Just saying.
My second one, and it's not the logo. The logo is fantastic. We're just talking jersey. It's boring, and I don't know. It just needs updated. It needs changed. It's the Vancouver Canucks. There's just nothing there. It's very boring. It's very blank. We're gonna put a green stripe at the bottom of our jersey, and then we're just gonna move on.
And more importantly, what the hell is that mascot on there?
It's an orca.
Yeah.
Okay, but is a Canuck a whale?
I don't know. I'm not Canadian.
We're talking about Canadians. They don't have anything figured out either. They play football with the goalposts too close to the end line.
And the best thing is, to be fair, this logo is better than their hockey stick thing, whatever this logo was.
Round 2, definitely to Randy.
I don't know about that. That we'll see.
Like I said, I actually like the Minnesota jersey because I think it fits the motif of the state of Minnesota with the Wild and the land of 10,000 lakes and everything. Round two to Randy.
Comes down to this, sir. Your third round pick.
Mine, it's just because the jersey just seems bland, and there's no real oomph into what it is. All right, let's just put a bit. It makes me remind. Oh, let's just put a big giant D on my chest. Sorry, Sean, but and these guys, I'm like
Sean, Randy.
I mean, there's nothing there. It's like saying,
Paul.
"Oh, I'm Superman," but that it's just blah.
Why me?
I mean, bleh.
I don't know why. Not you, the other Randy.
Oh, okay. I have nothing to do with Dallas.
Sean, Paul, Gary specifically though.
Gary, yeah.
I like these ones.
Well, that's a little bit more. There's a little bit more into
it. But
I gotta tell you though, that's kind of an eyesore, especially if you're seeing that in arena lighting.
It's like it's their third jersey, and just as something different. I mean, obviously they're 90s one.
I like
the one I remember.
That one was actually really good, and I say this as somebody who was. I would say that as somebody who was in a conference with them. They had one of the better looking jerseys back in the 90s. Obviously, we're not in the same conference anymore. I am a Detroit Red Wings fan, so we're not in the same conference anymore. But we used to see a lot of the Dallas Stars back when we were in the Western Conference, and they did have one of the nicer jerseys. I also really like the old Colorado Avalanche jersey, despite the fact that I hate the team.
All right, so now it is up to me. And again, it's a classic one. And just one that needs updated, I think. Again, it's the logo and a stripe. But let's put the stripe in the middle, and it's the Montreal Canadiens. It's just, there's not much there, and it's never changed.
But that's iconic.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it is good. Like, even the Pittsburgh Steelers will change their jerseys. Like, the logo can be fantastic, but it's just we get a blue stripe down the middle.
We're not talking about the bumblebees. We're talking about hockey. This is iconic. I mean, this has been part of it.
Yeah, I'm not saying change the logo, even though it confuses everybody and everyone thinks they're from Chicago.
But I do have to say, it does look like, if you look at the neckline on that one, it does look like it's like a sweater or a sweatshirt where you pull it close.
I actually think the CH is for Canadians hockey.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying it gets confused from a lot of people that will think it's Chicago.
So that trend you mentioned about the person picking the topic losing, Randy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's continuing. I dislike Dallas more than Montreal just because the Montreal logo is iconic. It's a staple of the NHL. You can't get rid of that.
So
Hagen wins 2-1.
Just because the kickoff people just hate me. That's just what I'm learning here.
I take it Eric voted for Robert as well.
He did.
So there's the collage we will post on the webpage. Let us know what you think. Harry's decided that the left ones are the worst ones. Those are mine as Arizona.
Wait, can I change?
Sure.
I'm not changing it, but I just want to throw in another nominee as far as the Canadians being the worst jersey. It's not current by any means.
Oh, so now we're going retro.
No, I just want to bring it up. Just because this was an article I saw earlier, and when I was talking about I wish I would have changed it, and we brought up Pittsburgh, but what the hell is that?
Ah! Oh, that just made my eyes hurt. Ow.
Yes.
That one is ugly.
Again, I'm not trying to change. I've lost, and that's okay. But
that reminds me of the
this
Bumblebees.
is the one I want.
It does.
Reason, yes. This was the reason why I wanted to change what we were doing, and somehow this beat it.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. To be fair, that mustard yellow garbage ass Predators jersey was awful.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some really crazy jerseys, and that one being one of them. I was going to throw that in as an honorable mention of the Predator jersey, but I know if I said that and my wife heard me say that because she likes Carrie Underwood and she likes her husband, that I'd probably get in trouble. But the current Predator jersey is just kind of
It's just the mustard yellow nature of it to me. It's just gross.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this much. I actually thought the Atlanta Thrasher jerseys were cool looking. I know they were pretty high up on that list right there, but
just different ones. So
real quick, Randy.
That's the mustard one that you were talking about. That's how. Yeah, they're just not.
They're not good. Real quick, Randy, since we're talking worst jerseys, which one's your favorite current NHL jersey? Do you have one?
Don't. See how Kraken probably. I like the colors.
That's fair. I mean, obviously, I'm biased towards the Red Wings jersey, but if I had to pick
another classic one, and at least with the Red Wings, it's not. Let's just put a stripe under it. At least from what I remember, the Red Wings are still basically one colored, right?
Red and white, yeah, with the spoke in the wheel, and then the wings off of the side of the wheel, representing Motor City for Detroit. The Kings actually have a pretty nice looking jersey too.
Yeah, their black ones were nice.
The black on white, they really popped in my opinion.
Yeah. And I hate to say it, I like the Vegas Knights ones. I really do. Kind of that 3-color gray, black, and gold on it. I kind of like it. So, but you can't go wrong. There's something about the Calgary Flames one too that just that's iconic.
Yeah, Flames are another one of those original six, same as the Red Wings too. So like the Red Wings logo has been pretty much the same ever since the inception of the team. Same with the Flames, same with the Rangers, and I kind of like the Rangers jersey as well with the NYR shield. So, I mean, there's definitely some nice looking jerseys inside of the NHL as well. But as you can see, as you guys have clearly discussed tonight, there are some garbage ones as well.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of the NHL, their season is on pause a little earlier than expected. They were going to take the Christmas break and take a few days off. They decided to pause the season starting tomorrow. Though really, there was like one game left today.
There's
one.
Not Edmonton, Florida and somebody, I think.
Yeah, and everything else had been canceled before that already, so they just went screw it. There's been so much going on as far as postponements. So yeah, right now Lightning Golden Knights going on through one period. It's all tied at 1. So this will be about 50 games that they're going to make up, but they can make it up during the Olympics because now NHL players are not going to participate in the Olympics this year. Harry, are you going to miss Olympic players in the NHL players in the Olympics?
This Olympics is looking like an S show, and you can fill in the word of choice for the S there, whichever one you choose. You know the one I'm referring to.
Yes.
I'm a huge Olympics person. I always have been. Something about this Winter Olympics isn't sitting right with everything with the conditions in China and the way that everything was treated during the course of the setup, as well as the expedited cases of the expansion of coronavirus taking back over once again here. It's not sitting well. They postponed the Summer Olympics to 2021, and those went off relatively without a hitch. I don't think the timing is going to work out well for these Olympics, and I would not be surprised to see multiple events either canceled or delayed.
Right. Robert, what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. You know, as much as I love watching the ski jumping and the cross country stuff, the stuff that they've started to do. And I know you gave me a bad time about it a couple weeks ago. I'm really enjoying curling. I love watching that one.
I love curling. Let's cancel the Olympics. Just have a curling championship.
I love it, but
I'm here for it.
I think a lot of things. I wouldn't be half surprised within the next few more weeks we see a few more United States teams bowing out.
Well, you've heard about the diplomatic boycott as well, too.
Yeah, it's gonna be a mess. And speaking of mess, the MLB is still in lockdown and still going to be in lockdown for the foreseeable future.
Well, that's okay. You can go ahead and congratulate your 2022 MLB champions, the Atlanta Braves.
No, because they've ruined the baseball.
Oh, is that what it is? Our championship broke the game.
And everyone went, we can't do it anymore. We just can't. Buck Showalter going to the New York Mets as their new manager. As an Atlanta Braves fans, thoughts on that acquisition?
I think the bigger news for the Mets this offseason is losing Thor.
But they haven't had Thor in like 4 years, so they're used to not having Thor.
Yeah, Showalter's not going to make enough of a difference. The only thing that I'm looking forward to Showalter is the meltdowns, similar to the ones he used to have in Arizona.
I'm really excited to see Showalter. It is not hidden here that I wanted Showalter to be the Yankees manager because I just don't want Boone, and I want an old school guy there because the Yankees have gone too far into the metrics. Which I'm a numbers guy. I love the metrics. I love sabermetrics. I love all that. But when you go too far in that direction, it's too much. So I wanted to try something completely different, and Showalter would have been that.
As the old saying goes, meet the Mets, greet the Mets, step on up and beat the Mets.
Do we see baseball back before spring training is supposed to start?
Right around spring training, I think they hammer out something because I think Major League Baseball realizes that the momentum that they have right now is arguably towards the better end. The World Series was one amongst the higher rated World Series in history, up significantly from the year prior. And they don't want to go through a similar situation that they did in '94 with the strike stopping season.
You agree, Hagen?
Oh, I agree 100%. You know, to see where Atlanta was at, make their way back and get back into it. And, you know, the owners want to get something done. I don't think they could handle another half season and another hit into the pocketbook. And I hate saying it, it's all about money, but anymore it is. It doesn't matter what it is. And I think they'd hurry to try to get things worked out.
Hagen, how cool is it to see Woods back out on the course?
Oh, dude, it was awesome. I watched so many highlights. I think I was more excited to see the growth of what Charlie Woods could do. He hits the ball farther than I do. I'm just going to put it out there as much as I like. Tiger did not miss his short game. They come up just a stroke short and end up, or I'm sorry, 2 strokes short in that one. But excited to see him out playing. Congrats to John Daly. Did John Daly look like Grandpa Santa Claus or what?
I was just about to say that dude has more of a Santa beard than I do at this point.
But are you expecting anything else from John Daly at this point?
Absolutely not. I was half expecting him to don the red cap during the celebration ceremony.
It was great.
I
Uh,
was disappointed in the belt that they gave them. Did you see how
No,
small
I didn't.
the
Yes.
belt was? The belt was puny. It makes the
The-
Universal Championship belt look like the state of Idaho. That's how big that was compared to the other one looked like the size of Rhode Island.
I'll put it to you this way, Randy. You're a boxing follower. It looked like an old WBC belt, one of those tiny ass little circular ones.
Mhm.
A piece of ribbon with a
Pretty
little
much
buckle on
with
it.
like
Yeah,
with like a tin plate on it. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
awesome. All right, sir. Let's get into this week in sports history, and then Harry's going to help me get this trivia question right.
You guys should be able to do it quite well, and I kind of hit on it, and so you guys have talked a little bit
Yeah.
of all of them. So, 1917, the first NHL game was played on artificial ice in Toronto. 1920, the first U.S. indoor curling rink opens, and that happened in Brookline, Massachusetts. 1959, the Dallas Cowboys hired Tom Landry to take their job. He stayed there until 1988, a 29-year tenure there with the Dallas Cowboys. It's the fourth longest of all times. 1973, O.J. Simpson becomes the first running back to rush for 2,000 yards in a season. 1980, NBC broadcasts the New York Jets win over the Dolphins with no audio. Tell me how that game went over. I would love to see if I can find audio or a movie of that.
I'm hitting YouTube as we speak.
There you go. 1985, sportscaster Howard Cosell retires from television sports after 20 years with ABC. 1988, Seattle Seahawks win their first ever division title with a 9-7 record. Yes, Seahawk fans, I'm being nice to you today, even though you need to rebuild your team. And in 1997, San Francisco 49ers retire Joe Montana's number, the number 16. All right, Randy. I went really nice and easy because I feel it's the Christmas holidays. Oh, Harry, did you find it?
Real quick, I will send the link to you on
Okay.
Facebook. Yes, I found the video on YouTube. 1980, December 20th, Jets at Dolphins, NBC announcerless game.
Yeah, I would love to sit and listen to it and see if it's just all audio of the boys hitting hard or what.
Ambient audio with the crowd and
Mhm.
everything.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, sir. So I'm hoping I'm going to get to both of them. I want you to answer both of them.
Okay.
First of all, I did talk about Tom Landry accepting the job to be the Dallas Cowboys coach. He coached there for 29 years. He is the fourth longest. Can you name the other three that are ahead of him?
I would feel like one of them would have to be Chuck Noll from Pittsburgh.
That's exactly who I was thinking of. No.
No, sir. No, sir.
All right. Let me think here.
Lombardi's got to be up there.
Vince, yeah, Lombardi would make sense.
Actually, Chuck Noll is 8. Lombardi, you guys are 0 for
You
2.
said you made this easy.
I did.
George Halas.
George Halas is number 1 with 40 years with the Chicago Bears.
How long was Shula with Miami? I don't think it was 29 years. That's the other one that keeps popping up to my head. I'll say Shula.
Shula is tied for second with 33 years.
Wow. He was there even longer than that?
If I may ask, without can we cash in a hint?
Sure.
Team.
If I say the team, it's probably going to be a. Let me just put it this way.
Is it Belichick?
The stadium is named after him.
Yeah, it's not Belichick.
Yes, it's
He's
not.
not there yet. It was 2000, so he's like 22 years right now.
Bill Belichick is number 5,
Yeah,
and
he's
he
getting
has 27 years.
Stadium is named after him.
there. The hell?
He is tied with Don Shula with 33 years.
AFC or NFC?
NFC.
All right, let me do some quick math here.
I just gave you the answer. Yeah.
No, you really didn't.
She is correct. I know she knows it because
How does no? It's not Holmgren.
no.
Yeah.
The stadium is named after
Is
him.
it
sir.
Lambeau? Who the hell's
It
Lambeau?
is Lambeau. Curly
I don't know
Lambeau.
who that is.
Curly Lambeau, and he was one of the originals. So
See,
come
yeah,
on, yeah.
yeah. I'm thinking historic.
Haley's got it right. Come on, guys. Curly
If-
Lambeau.
Like, I understand Green Bay plays at Lambeau Field. I don't know who the hell Lambeau is.
If I'm thinking Packer coaches, the first name that springs to mind is the same way with Randy. It's Vince Lombardi.
All right. So the other trivia question I had tonight is we also talked about O.J. Simpson being the first 2,000-yard rusher. How many running backs have had over 2,000 yards rushing?
6.
I don't think it's that much. I'll say 4.
You guys are both wrong. It is 8. O.J. Simpson, Eric Dickerson, Barry Sanders, Terrell Davis, Jamal Lewis, Chris Johnson,
CJ2K.
AP, and Derrick Henry. Who has the most out of all those?
Wasn't it Peterson's?
Nope.
Or
Lewis, is that what you're asking?
He is
actually,
second.
I think it's Dickerson at 2108.
2105. Yep.
I knew it was 2100 and something.
So I guess I win in the picks today. In the Stump the Randy.
You're bringing up a coach that coached from 1919 to 1940.
Well,
That ain't fair.
Can I just point out that I'm proud of myself for getting Papa Bear?
There you go. I am proud of that too.
I got Papa Bear. I'm going to take that as a victory.
It's going to be easy. I'm only going to bring up stuff that when I was alive. Whoa.
Well, let me lean into you. I'm going to give you a little hint. Our draft topic is in this week in sports for next week. So just a little hint on where we're going for next week. I've already figured that out.
Interesting. All right, that's going to do it. I got to get to work. But that is another wild edition of the R&R Sports Report. Thank you so much, Harry, for hanging out with us, even though he picked the wrong winner. Thank you, Mike Tacko, for hanging out. Good 30 minutes with him. Very enjoyable interview there. We will be seeing him a ton next week for the Avista tournament. And again, next week's show is completely up in the air because of said Avista tournament. Our best guess right now is midday on Tuesday, in between the Lewis and the Clarkson games, but we will kind of see what the situation is there and how busy we are in between our games. But again, Lewiston will play 9 a.m. for the girls, 10:30 for the boys, and then Clarkston is 6 and 7:30.
6:30, yeah, 6 and 7:30.
Yep. So there you go. So definitely go check out all of the high school action over at the LCSC Activity Center. Excuse me, the
P1FCU.
The P1FCU Activity Center now, as there will be tons of basketball action Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But for that, that's Harry down there. That's Robert. I'm Randy, and we are out.